Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and today we're looking at the Ginault silent service on the left and the Rolex Submariner 124060 on the right. Is the silent service as good as the Submariner? No, of course it's not. This is a $1,039 watch on pre-order right now, or $1,499 MSRP versus a $9,100 watch from the authorized dealer. It's not so easy to buy this from the authorized dealer, so a lot of folks will go on the gray market, and gray market price, I don't exactly know right now. I think they're $12,000, $13,000 gray market. These you can buy them used. I've seen for around $850, $900, somewhere around there. This one I bought for less than that, but it has quite a bit of wear on it, so your mileage may vary. On that note, is the Submariner 9 times the watch of the silent service? No, it's not, but I don't think that the person that really wants the Submariner would settle for the Ginault. But also, I'm not going to tell you that if you really want a Rolex Submariner, save for it and buy it. That's personal choice. I obviously, while I have both of them for now, I'll be selling this one eventually. But as far as which other hobbies and stuff are, and investments and things like that, it's a personal choice. I bought this, so I really wanted it. Worked 20 years basically to buy a Submariner, so I bought this to celebrate me working for 20 years. But anyway, let's go over the specs. Both rated to 200 meter water resistance. They're both a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces on the silent service. I keep jumbling up the words, but 904L stainless steel, 316L stainless steel. 904L is supposed to be more corrosion resistant and also has a brighter polish to it. But they do both like to attract fingerprints. I just wipe both of these down before the video, but fingerprints just appear on these things. And you can see I've been wearing this. I do have some scratches and scuffs on it. It's just bound to happen with the 904L stainless steel. It seems to scuff up a little bit easier. But here's just a quick look at the Submariner, and then we'll take a look at the Ginault here. This one has crown guards, the Ginault does not. There we go, a little more in focus. This one's a little more of a homage of the previous version of the Submariner, but you can see no crown guards on this one. It does have a signed crown with the Ginault rose. I kind of laugh because Tudor has the Tudor rose. You can see there it is present on the dial. So both watches do have applied indices. They both do have text printed on the dial. This one's a little more of a word salad. It says kinetic continuous below Ginault at the 12 o'clock there. And then just above the 6 o'clock, you can see it says submersible maritime precision chronometer. So I do believe the movement has been regulated to COSC standards. Not sure if it's been tested for that. And then down there below, right below 6 o'clock, around 6 o'clock, it says hand built in America. So they do assemble this watch in America. It's not made in America because all the parts, or whatever percentage of the parts that it has to be, are not American made. So a hand built in America. I think Ginault is something similar. So let's look at the dial of the Submariner up close. So this does have applied white gold indices. I'm going to assume the Ginault has stainless steel indices. But down there below 6 o'clock, you see Swiss made. Up below the 12 o'clock, of course, Rolex, Oyster Perpetual. And then below the handset, Submariner, 1,000 feet, 300 meter, superlative chronometer, officially certified. Rolex has their own in-house certification, and these are more accurate than cost standards. Okay, let's zoom back out here. So the Submariner has 120 click unidirectional bezel. So does the Ginault silent service. You can see differences in the bezel there. The Rolex has the coin edge bezel. This has more of a, looks like a castle or castellations here on the bezel. I prefer the Rolex bezel insert and the bezel. This is ceramic. And then I believe the numerals and the hash marks here are filled in with platinum. And then the Ginault, you have a sapphire bezel insert. And then the dial or the bezel is full lume. The VGW9 lume on the Ginault. Rolex has their own blend of lume, chromolite, I believe, off the top of my head. You can see the ceramic bezel insert does have some glare to it, but not as much as the sapphire bezel insert here. And sapphire bezel inserts are cool, but they just don't look as premium to me as a ceramic or even an aluminum bezel insert. Something to do with how you see through the sapphire to the painting below. So let me know in the comment section which of these two you prefer. Let's check out the bezel action. The Submariner bezel action is very nice and smooth, but it's a little bit too easy to turn. I have sometimes when I'm wearing long sleeves, look down at my watch to notice that the lume pip is off. Maybe something like that. It does kind of like to move on its, not necessarily on its own because my sleeve is pulling it or something is pulling it, but it does move unintentionally sometimes. I have not had that problem with the silent service. Geez, that's hard for me to say. Anyway, you know, more backplay, but as far as the smoothness, it feels pretty similar, but not quite as smooth as the Submariner. But again, 1,000 versus 9,000 essentially. After taxes, the price difference is even more, of course. The crown on this is not, you know, for the price of this watch, I would expect a better crown action, and it does have a bit of wobble to it. I'll put that back to 1010, I guess. Hopefully I'll get the other one lined up. But the crown's not all that good on this one. Okay, let's look at the Submariner crown. This one actually lines up. Very happy about that. I don't think they really try to line them up, so kind of luck of the draw there. I have an old Tudor day, and the crown lines up pretty good on that one too. It has a Rolex crown, but this trip lock crown feels a lot more solid. And when you're screwing it down and unscrewing it, it just feels it's got a premium feel to it. It's hard for me to explain on video, but if you have both of these in hand, you would surely feel the difference. The bracelets feel pretty similar. Rolex is a little more smooth feeling. The way the clasp works, the way it feels on wrist, it just feels a little more premium. Closing it, here, let me be quiet for a second. Okay, hopefully you heard that. And let's compare it to this. Back to the Rolex again. It just feels and sounds more premium on the Rolex. So they both have a 3-link bracelet with an on-the-fly adjustment. The Rolex, of course, has the Oyster bracelet with the glide lock on the fly adjustment. I really haven't messed with this. I just have set it when I purchased it and haven't really messed with it since. Okay, let's talk about the dimensions. So they both have the male center links of the end link, so that extends the lug to lug a little bit. Let's go over the Ginault first. So 50.7 millimeter for the male center link. Lug tip to lug tip, lug tip to lug tip, 48 millimeter. 40.7 millimeter bezel. 40 millimeter case diameter. The bezel is more proud of the case. 12 millimeter thickness on this one. 20 millimeter lug width, which does taper down to 15.5. The width of the clasp itself is 17.7 millimeter, and then the length of the clasp is 45 millimeter. In size for my 6.5 inch wrist, it weighs in at 139 grams. So let's go to the Submariner. Tip to tip of the male center link, 51 millimeter. 48 millimeter lug to lug. 40.6 millimeter bezel diameter. And the watch case itself is not really easy to measure that. It's easier on the Ginault since it doesn't have the crown guards. So I'm getting about 40.5, but that doesn't really make sense because the bezel overhangs quite a bit more. So really not easy to measure that, but 40.6 here. And that's what you see visually from the top. 12.4 millimeter thick. 21 millimeter lug width, and this bracelet does taper down to 16.5, so basically the same amount of taper between these two watches. So 21 down to 16.5, and then 20 down to 15.5. 18.7 millimeter for the width of the clasp, which makes sense. So that's a millimeter wider than the Ginault, or the Ginault is a millimeter narrower than the Rolex. And then 45.5 millimeter for the length of the clasp. And for my 6.5 inch wrist, this weighs in at 148 grams. So 148 grams for the sub, 139 for the silent service. So let me get both these on wrist and then we'll take a look at the Lume. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It really does help me out. Another thing about the Ginault is the clasp is not signed at all, and the Rolex, of course, is signed here with the crown coronet. There we go. 6.5 inch wrist, 52 millimeter wristband. I know some folks have said this watch is too big for my wrist, but yeah, okay, that's fine. I still enjoy the watch. I do actually have one more link that could have been removed, but down to one removable link. So maybe if your wrist is smaller than 6.5, this might not work out too well for you. Silent service. If I keep saying that, hopefully I'll get it right. So again, same size wrist, obviously. The watch is a little bit smaller. Well, not really. The center link's a little bit smaller, but the bezel's a little bit wider. But for all intents and purposes, same size watch. I do notice the taper here more so now, though. This does seem a little thin, actually. Lugs are a little bit blockier on this one. Let's see if I can show that. And we'll check out the Lume here in just a moment. maybe not. It's hard to say. All right, let's check out the Lume. Okay, before the Lume, one more thing I wanted to point out is the Ginault has the chamfered edges on the case here. So brushed on top, polished chamfered edge, and then the side of the case is polished as well. The Submariner does not have the chamfered edge, so I would say the manufacturing in that portion on the Ginault may be a little more complicated than the Submariner. So you just have the brushed surface on the top here, and then a kind of a hard corner, and then polished on the side. So let me know which you prefer here in that regard. Again, brushed on top, polished on the side with just a hard edge there. And this has the chamfered surface on that side. Silent service, polished surface. Peter Piper. Anyway, let's get on to the Lume. You know, since these are dive watches, maybe I should have said she sells seashells by the seashore. Anyway, Submariner on the left and silent surface on the right. Should call it the Ginault, but Chromalite versus BGW9 Lume. You know, I would still say the Submariner, the Lume's a little bit brighter, but then of course you do have the Lume on the bezel insert, the full Lume bezel insert on the right versus just a Lume pip on the Submariner, but I still have to say I prefer the Submariner. So anyway, sorry about the length of the video. Kind of got a little bit carried away, but that will conclude the video. As always, thank you for your time and thank you for watching.